We are moving out of winter and into spring in upstate New York. And it's been a really long one in 2026. So 2025 to 2026, I wanted to make a video about meditation and mindfulness, the M words. So this is just to kind of help people to feel like they can approach it. Hopefully it's not too daunting. This might take some of that out of it for you and make it more achievable for you to get started, because it helps. Okay, take care, everybody. Hope you enjoy. In psychology land, when we're trying to help somebody gain tools to be able to move to a place that's more advantageous for them in their life, make them feel more well, help them feel more well, we would use the technique of meeting them where they're at. So that might mean different things for different industries. I know that people do that in sales, but in psychology, what you're trying to do is understand where a person's coming from historically and currently, and then come to them from that place and help them to move towards the place where they would rather be. And that comes into play when you're talking about mindfulness and meditation. Sometimes I think of those as the M words. People don't want to hear them. So what I want to do is make a diagram of something that I talk about with people as far as meeting them where they're at for coping skills and mindfulness meditation. So I think of it like a way of measuring where we're at. And there's nothing wrong with being at any place in this scale or meditation-ometer. There's nothing wrong with being in any of these places. It's just about where do you want to get to, or what's the best place to start so you can get to where you want to get to. So this being the center, and excuse me, loud noise. We'll take the scale and we'll kind of look at it like this. So over here on this end, let's see, let's not be too rigid. We'll divide it up into some pieces. And over here, way over on this end, is what people might associate most with meditation, which is like the idea of kind of like being a monk under a tree, not knocking it, sounds peaceful, and having a stillness of mind and absence of thought, right? So this is a very extreme, kind of stereotypical, apologize for that idea, but so here we are. We're sitting in a place of perfect stillness, and we just have, loving kindness in our hearts and in our minds, and we're chilling. And the idea is, I talk to people and say, this would really be handy for you if we could find a way for you to have agency with your thoughts. So instead of going to the place that you might go to where you think I am not enough, or you start to get anxious about something, you might have that a little and sort of acknowledge it, and then gently help yourself to move to a place in your thoughts that would feel better. So that would be agency. And what gives us agency in our thoughts is the ability to somewhat craft what they look like. This is what people think of as what they need to be able to do and what they judge themselves against. This is the rule that they judge themselves against for their ability to meditate or be mindful. And that's really not fair, because we live in maybe a place that's more over here. Maybe this is most of us. We live in a westernized society. I apologize if you're in a different place. But a lot of what goes on here, I live in New York, is that when move very fast, we multitask, and we validate our worth in the idea that the more that we do, the more that we're worth. The more that we make, the more that we're worth. The more that people like us, the more that we're worth. And that is really not true. It's a myth, right, that we've developed culturally. And so our minds are moving quite fast. So if over here is sitting still thoughts and body, that would be like taking somebody who's more over here, and we'll talk about what this looks like, and trying to force them to do this. That's just going to be a prophecy for failure. So it'd be like a squirrel who's been gathering nuts for weeks because they know what's coming. You know, they have a deadline at work or something. And the squirrel's running all over the place gathering nuts, and then you put them in a sensory deprivation tank. The squirrel is going to blink and feel confused and feel like a failure, probably. So we meet people where they are. So I'm trying to meet everybody where they are. And I have also been in a place where I needed somebody to meet me there. And she helped me. And actually lots of people have helped me on my journey. So if we have this scale, we want to kind of get here. If we're being totally honest, this is a good place to be. We may not have a lot of time for it, but we want to be able to call on this skill. And right now we may be over here. Maybe over here we can sometimes watch a screen, and maybe that screen has some things on it that are maybe from Netflix or something. And Netflix Zen show. So maybe you're watching some animals, maybe you're listening to some music, maybe you like to hear birdsong videos on Netflix, right? So that might be something you want to do, is be over here and try this version where you meet yourself where you are and try some peacefulness. Maybe way over here, we have something on repeat that's even a little bit less healthy. We're not going to go into the sort of unhealthy zone. Maybe that would be down here. So we're just talking about the scale of mindfulness. So maybe sometimes you concentrate on what you're eating. Let's say you're having pizza for lunch, and maybe you think about the texture of the pizza. Goodness, this is not the most mindful meal, right? But that's okay. Maybe you think about the temperature of the drink that you're having, and maybe you use your senses, and you hear the ice cubes banging around. There might be lots of things going on outside of that picture where you're eating. That's a little attempt at mindfulness. It counts. It works. It helps you build towards this. It's not nothing. To just try to be mindful in the moment where you engage with your senses, you notice what you are doing right now, you acknowledge that the past is already something that happened and the future is yet to be. And so right now is what we have. So here you are, and you're eating and you're noticing. Maybe you hear your friend's voice. Maybe you come home and instead of just walking through the door and doing the same things you always do, maybe you acknowledge a loved one's smile in a way that you haven't in a long time. You connect with that person. Or maybe you watch a show that's got birds in it and things. Maybe right here in the middle is, I'm making these up as I go along, obviously, is a mindfulness meditation, right? So maybe you've got your phone. Let's make sure we're filling this in. You eat food mindfully, or anything else that looks like that. Take a walk mindfully. Connect with a loved one. We could take issue with any of these and move them around a little bit, right? Maybe there's a Zen show on Netflix. Maybe you have a thing on your phone that has a little bit of a meditation on it, right? So the thing about that is whether or not your Bluetooth You are allowing this thing to meditate you. So it's almost like if your face was here and we're making everything look peaceful, right? Maybe it's a little bit difficult sometimes. It might not always be peaceful to try these things, and that's okay. It's literally like if you had a USB cable plugged into your head, right? Because the phone meditation is meditating you, and you are following it. Awesome, though. Gravy. This is good. This is still working towards this, right? And again, this is not a perfect thing. I feel like this needs a tree. So, right, this person's in nature. We gotta make it the ultimate. I haven't really been in this kind of nature in many months because I live in a place where it's winter all the time. So this is really difficult. But this still counts towards this. This still counts towards this. Way over here, maybe you just take a breath. Breathe, baby. That still counts towards this, right? It's all just a work in progress. It's not westernized squirrel gathering nuts behavior. We are validating ourselves. We are taking care of ourselves. We are developing our relationship with ourselves. We are loving ourselves. And so there's no checklist or achievement or graduation from meditation that I know of. If somebody tries to sell you that, don't do it. So then somewhere in between here, there's these more gradual states, which honestly, I don't even really want to talk about yet, because probably most of us are over here, which is great and fine and wonderful, and we don't need to judge it. These states might look like having an awareness of your body-mind connection. Again, I'm just spitballing here. And then as you get closer to the ability to just be still, it's really sort of developing and releasing, developing the skill of releasing thoughts. Once I started to do this, it didn't mean I could always do this, by the way. There are certainly things that come up that make it really difficult, and I might even have to start back here, or here, just to be able to move myself this way again. But like anything else you practice, you will get better and better at grabbing onto the best version of the thing you've been practicing. So don't be hard on yourself. Take some time. Of course, I cannot leave it like this. It has to be kind of some sort of extra thing. Take some time so that you can develop this relationship with yourself, and you're not creating a situation where you're judging yourself. Try not to get frustrated with your progress. That means you're judging yourself by saying that you haven't moved far enough. So this is just all about you loving you and being with yourself and endorsing who you are and feeling authentic and calm. And when you get good at this, you can be in a very stressful situation, take a deep breath, engage this feeling that you know so well because you've integrated it into your neuroplasticity as a habit. It's kind of pushed out some of these other habits that were harder, that were maybe down here on the other half of the circle or somewhere. And you can just call on it, and it becomes a setting, and it just happens, and it makes life so much easier. And if things aren't really intense and you want to do it just for fun, it feels like a deep breath in a warm waterfall of calm. It's so good. So I don't want it to be so daunting and difficult for everyone. I hope that this little meditation ometer, I don't know, can help people to kind of figure out where they are. And if you're up here, you kind of already know, but figure out where you are and then see what you can do. And I'd love to have feedback. Let me know. What could you do to help you move towards this? Notice your body. Notice your thoughts. Release discomfort. All right. Take care, everybody.